on Y News. Groups of ride-sharing app drivers decide to defer the filing of case against LTFRB Chairman Delgra. The National Bureau of Investigation and 3 investors filed syndicated ESTAFA complaints against Kappa officials. Filmmaker Joyce Bernal eyes hopeful and grand presentation of President Rodrigo Duterte's 4th State of the Nation address, or SONA, on July 22. And 4 legendary teams in the history of Philippine basketball play in the PBA Legends Finals at the Big Dome. Kappa Community Ministry International founder and President Joel Apolinario and several Kappa officials face complaints for syndicated ESTAFA and other violations before the Department of Justice. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
3 complainants surfaced and formally filed complaints before the Department of Justice today against officials of Kappa Community Ministry International Incorporated. One of them is alias Marge, who invested ₱500,000 pesos from her retirement fund on May 24, 2019. She said she was persuaded by one of her former colleagues who is a Kappa member.
Sana bigyan ako nilang pagkakataon na ibalik nila yung pera na pinaghirapan ko ng maraming taon. At ngayon, wala na talaga akong pera. May sakit ako at senior citizen ako. May sakit sa puso at may sakit sa liver. Wala na ako pangbili ng gamot na maintenance ngayon.
As what other complainants have said, they have been promised to receive a 30% interest every month until forever.
Kasi daw, may 30% per month sabi.
Complaints for violation of Sections 8 and 26 of the Securities Regulation Code and syndicated ESTAFA were filed against Kappa officials. The complaint includes 7 Kappa incorporators, the group's secretary and treasurer, and 3 other director and officials. But Kappa doubts the identity and the allegations stated against their leader and officials.
Kung talagang totoo to, sana pinag-press con muna sila. Kasi based doon sa sinasabi sa news kanina, yung isa raw na doon na nabigay ng ₱500,000. Hindi kaya malinaw doon sa mga nagre-reklamo na ang kanilang pinirmahan ay donation.
Kappa member Danny Mangahas says there are ways to ensure the identity of those who filed the complaints.
Baka pwede namin i-verify kung anong branch, anong taon sila nag-member ng Kappa, may ID ba sila, meron ba silang certificate of donation na pinirmahan from Kappa.
Kappa maintains whether members give are donations and not investment, and what they give to their members are blessings and not interest. President Rodrigo Duterte has earlier ordered the closure of Kappa Community Ministry International Incorporated for the group's alleged involvement in an investment scam. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The House of Representatives prepares for President Rodrigo Duterte's 2019 State of the Nation address. Meanwhile, the director of President Duterte's SONA plans to make some changes in the plenary with what the chaos that happened before last year's SONA. Grace Casin tells us why.
Veteran Director Joyce Bernal inspected today the plenary of the House of Representatives. This is her second time to direct the State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte. Bernal said she wants to put additional lights and cameras inside the plenary.
Medyo bago po yung sana yung mga perspective natin. So, yun. We want it grand. Sana nga may magandang music na live. Pangarap lang po ito, pero pag may budget at may libre, okay sana. Yeah.
May budget, ma'am?
Syempre, gobyerno tayo, maliit usually yung budget na yan.
The veteran director also wants to have a good ambience in this year's SONA after what they experienced last year. It can be recalled President Duterte's 3rd SONA was delayed for almost 1 hour after leadership coup between former House Speakers Pantalon Alvarez and Gloria Arroyo.
I want it hopeful and good. Yung parang masaya na kasi last year, ano nangyari? So, sana parang iset mo yung mood ng lahat ng tao dito na, uy, wag na kayo mag-away.
The seating capacity inside the lower house plenary is 1,800. The palace sends invitation for those who are seated inside. All guests are advised to wear Filipiniana, barong, or business attire and should be inside the plenary before the president starts his address at 4 p.m. Tight security will be implemented during the entire event. Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Class suspensions are inevitable, especially during the rainy season. But who should students, teachers, and parents listen to when it comes to class suspension announcements? Find out as Harleen Delgado reports.
I hope you've learned your lesson. Never do that again.
This video of New Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso went viral while airing his warning to University of the East Manila last week. The UE allegedly did not heed the mayor's call to suspend their classes in all levels. But where should the class suspension announcements really come from? According to the Department of Education, if there was no storm signal warnings from the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAG-ASA, but thunderstorms prevail, it is the local chief executives who are mandated to announce class suspensions. But if there's a tropical cyclone prevailing over the affected area and a public storm warning is issued by PAG-ASA, classes should be automatically suspended, even without an official announcement from the local government. For Tropical Cyclone Signal Warning Number 1, classes at the preschool level in the affected area shall be automatically cancelled or suspended. Meanwhile, for Signal Number 2, classes at the preschool, elementary, and secondary levels shall be automatically cancelled or suspended. And for Signal Number 3, classes up to tertiary levels, including graduate school, as well as work and government offices, shall be automatically cancelled or suspended.
Ngayon, pag wala namang storm signal, no? Ang local government unit, kasi sila ang nakakaalam ng kondisyon doon sa kanilang lugar, sila ang pwedeng mag-declare ng suspension of classes. Wala talaga dito ang DepEd.
But what if local chief executives fail to announce early class suspensions within their area of jurisdiction? The Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, says that in such case, the city or municipal mayor may face sanctions if negligence is indeed proved on the part of the local government unit.
Ang una sigurong gawin ng DILG is ipaalala muna sa kanila, no? I-remind muna sila sa kanilang tungkulin at talagang kung naging pabaya, doon tayo magkakaroon ng sanction.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Good evening. Several Transport Network Vehicle Service or TNVS groups deferred the filing of case against Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairman Martin Delgra over the complaints on slow and tedious processing of franchise applications. Joan Nano tells us why.
Thousands of drivers and operators of Transport Network Vehicle Service or TNVS went offline from the system today as part of their transport holiday. They went on transport strike from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. The transport holiday aims to show their protest against what they call a slow and tedious processing of franchise application in the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB. Part of their protest is filing of a case in the Office of the Ombudsman against LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra. But the drivers and operators decided to postpone filing the case, saying they will instead wait for the outcome of their scheduled dialogue with the LTFRB tomorrow. Prior to consultation with the LTFRB, Transportation Undersecretary Mark De Leon and officials from the Anti-Red Tape Authority held a dialogue earlier today. Yusek De Leon said they will review the memorandum order which states that hatchbacks operating as TNVS will be phased out, as well as the issue on the apprehension of those with pending provisional authority and certificate of public convenience applications and renewal.
Tingnan kung paano natin babawasan yung mga requirements, tingnan kung paano mabawasan yung mga proseso, yung processing time para naman mapabilis na makapagbigay ng public service itong mga TNVS.
However, the drivers and operators are not so satisfied and insist the transport strike.
Masaya tayo dun sa binanggit ni Yusek De Leon na papaiksiin, no? Pero hindi tayo titigil hanggat walang papel sa harapan natin. Laway, ano lang po yan iskrimahan ng laway lang yan
Kailangan maglabas sila ng memorandum na pinapatigil yung mga hulihan at ibalik. Maniniwala kami diyan kapag yung mga hatchback din nakabalik na sa grab up at makakabiyahe na.
Because of the transport holiday, some passengers complained about the difficulty in ride booking as well as much higher fares. Meanwhile, the LTFRB is set to hold a dialogue with the TNVS groups tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. in their central office in East Avenue, Quezon City. Juan, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Local oil firms have announced they will adjust the prices of diesel and gasoline starting Tuesday, July 9. In separate advisories released over the weekend, oil companies said the price of diesel will be rolled back by 40 centavos per liter, but gasoline will increase by 25 centavos a liter. This is the fourth straight week that gasoline prices have spiked. The adjustment will be implemented to reflect international market prices. Global crude prices dropped for most of the past trading week due to the outlook for global economic growth and possible lower demand. Last week, oil firms raised gasoline prices by 30 centavos per liter, diesel by 55 centavos, and kerosene by 45 centavos a liter. President Rodrigo Duterte finally endorses lower house leaders amid the House speakership issue. Grace Casan explains why.
Malacanang ends the threatening breakup of the political allies as the election of the Speaker of the lower house of Congress has resulted in a bitter and fractious rivalry. In a statement released by Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, it's Alan Peter Cayetano as the Speaker in the first 15 months. Then the next 21 months, the Speaker will be Lord Alan Velasco, with Martin Romualdez as the majority floor leader. This after the three candidates for the speakership sought the assistance and help of the President to settle the conflict among them. Secretary Panalo adds that three speaker aspirants agree to respect President Rodrigo Duterte's choice. Taguig Representative Alan Peter Cayetano thanked the President for his endorsement and promised to work hard for the better Congress of the Filipino people.
We thank him for the announcement that he has made, and we want the House of Representatives to be the Congress of the people. Gusto na natin baguhin na mahal natin ang congressman natin pero galit tayo sa Kongreso. So good governance will always come first.
According to Ron Munsayak, the head of public information of the PDP Laban, the party leadership will have a meeting soonest to discuss the developments on the speakership race. Earlier, presidential son Davao City 1st District Representative Paulo Duterte has abandoned the House speakership race. In a statement, Congressman Duterte said he and his father, President Rodrigo Duterte, both agreed that this will not be the right time for him to be a speaker. Grace Casan, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Some senators believe that the official report of the Philippine Coast and Maritime Industry Authority on the Recto Bank incident may be used as basis in filing complaints against the Chinese vessel crew who abandoned the Filipino fishermen. Neophyte Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa believes there may be consequences if the government does not take action on this matter. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
Pursuing the liabilities after the release of the final report of the Philippine Coast Guard and the Maritime Industry Authority or Marina on the Recto Bank incident is necessary. According to Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, the government should step up in filing a case against the crew of the Chinese vessel who abandoned the 22 Filipino fishermen after their boat was rammed and sank by the Chinese vessel.
Dapat managot sila. Dahil sinabi mo kasi investigation na yung mga kinalabasan. Otherwise, kung pabayaan natin yan, palagi na lang gagawin yan.
This is also the opinion of Senator Franklin Drilon. The senator also asked the palace officials to detail and release the said findings to the public.
I call on Malacanang to officially release the Coast Guard Marina report. Number two, the Marina Coast Guard report can be the basis of an action for damages under the Fisheries Code because there was clear poaching, and not only poaching, there was attack.
According to Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, whatever the findings, the most important lesson in this case is the ultimate rule of the sea to never abandon. For Senate President Vicente Soto III, the result of the probe fortifies his proposal of strengthening the PCG to be able to strictly implement the laws and regulations at sea. Senator De La Rosa meanwhile believes that President Rodrigo Duterte may change his position after seeing the said report.
Hindi pa kasi lumabas yung investigation noon nung nasabi ni Pangulo yun. Parang lumalabas na ordinary banggaan. Kung ngayon, mayroon na official report, official investigation report na nagsasabi na yung Chinese are at fault. Sigurado ako mag-iba ng tingin ni Presidente doon sa sitwasyon na yan, sa kaso na yan.
It can be noted that President Duterte described the incident as a little maritime accident, for which many have criticized him. Del Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora reveals the previous city government has left debt that amounts to 1 billion pesos. April Senadoza tells us why.
After a week since he assumed the mayoral post, San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora today reported the city's financial situation before City Hall employees and other officials during the flag-raising ceremony this morning. Mayor Zamora revealed the administration of former Mayor Gia Gomez has left almost 1 billion pesos in debt. He said the outstanding loan balance of the city amounts to 659 million pesos as of June 30, 2019.
Ito ay principal pa lamang. Kung isasama po natin ang interest na humigit kumulang 200 milyong piso, ang ating utang ay abot halos ng 1 bilyong piso.
The local chief executive noted the city's projected year-end cash position is negative with over 100 million pesos in deficit. The previous San Juan City government had turned over the 1.3 billion pesos check to the new administration. The mayor confirmed the money was not for savings, but was used for payment for suppliers of the bidded-out projects this year. Following this, Zamora called on the Commission on Audit to check the previous city administration's transactions.
Inimbitahan natin ang Commission on Audit Central Office na pumasok dito sa San Juan City Hall at suriin ang mga dokumentong ito. Sapagkat para sa akin, kailangan maging malinaw. Magkano ba ang tunay na pondo ng San Juan?
The mayor also bared he signed his first executive order of institutionalizing the San Juan City government integrity system as part of anti-corruption initiatives. With the aim to address the budget deficit, he said he will boost the city's business sector and ensure the efficiency of tax collection. The UNTV News and Rescue team is trying to contact former Mayor Gomez to get her side of the issue. April Senadoza, UNTV News and Rescue, San Juan City.
The Department of Health reminds the public to make it a habit to wash hands to avoid getting sick. According to the DOH, this is the simplest but most effective to avoid illnesses. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Continuous sneezing, itchy nose, and throat. These are symptoms of acquiring virus from the surroundings. When the weather is cold, there is a huge possibility that people may become prone to sickness. This year, there is a new flu strain which can affect people according to the health department. But there are simple ways to avoid getting sick this wet season. The simplest yet most effective way is to wash the hands clean within 20 seconds or equivalent to 2 rounds of the Happy Birthday song.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
A person's hands will be clean and free from bacteria which cause illnesses. And washing is often neglected by many after touching or handling various items. According to the DOH, virus can be acquired by touching unclean or filthy things. Millions of bacteria are on a doorknob, handrails, stairway handle, flushers of toilet bowls, and even on elevator buttons.
So if it's not been a habit of washing our hands before eating, it's time you make it. Avoid rubbing the eyes when hands are dirty. Some of the simple ways to say bye cold virus is to change the clothes you're wearing when they get wet, because a person may get hypothermia when drenched in or exposed to cold temperature for a long period of time. Hypothermia is a medical emergency wherein a person's body temperature drops, loses heat faster than it can produce heat, causing a dangerously low body temperature. For kids who are fond of wading in flood water, the DOH warns of acquiring leptospirosis. To be considerate of others also means covering one's mouth when sneezing and coughing. Avoid going to crowded places to avoid infecting others. When sick, file a leave application to prevent the virus from spreading in the environment. Water, vitamin C, vegetables, and fruits should not be removed from our list of what to intake to avoid getting sick. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Caloocan City.
The battle for the UNTV Cup PBA Legends Face-Off title continues at the Big Dome tonight. From the Araneta Coliseum, Asher Cadapan Jr. will tell us why live. Asher, give us the mood there tonight.
Yes, Alex, UNTV Cup once again turns back time as the leading basketball 80s, 90s, and early 2000s show off intense hardcore battles at the UNTV Cup PBA Legends Face-Off Finals happening here at Araneta Coliseum tonight. After a month of rigorous basketball competition among the 4 PBA teams, the champion for the first ever UNTV Cup PBA Legends Face-Off will finally be unveiled. The game lineup commenced with Ginebra battling for third place against Pure Foods, while the San Miguel and Alaska match will determine the champion of this off-season games. The fourth winner will be awarded with 200,000 pesos. The third placer will have 300,000 pesos, 500,000 pesos for the second placer, and 1 million pesos for the grand champion. That's a sum of 2 million pesos of prizes, which will all be donated to the PBA Legends Foundation, which aims to aid their fellow PBA players of their time who need help. The UNTV Cup crowd relentlessly cheer for their favorite teams as they witness the return of the PBA Legends on the hard court, live and in action. Fans were also entertained in between the games by guest performers such as the Wishful 5, Wish Cover Season 2 Grand Champion Rhea Basco, and many more. Alex, as of the moment, the gates are still open for fans who wish to watch the UNTV Cup PBA Legend Face-Off Finals here at Araneta Coliseum. That's here and the latest at the Big Dome. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Asher Cadapan Jr., reporting live from Araneta Coliseum. Public officials who won in the May elections come up with their own ways of being more popular and closer to their citizens. One of them is Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno, who is now the talk of the town for his social media posts. Watch the mayor get even closer to the Manileños as Monokson reports.
Newly installed Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno has recently been active, not just in the streets of the city, destroying video game machines, and even inspecting stores and stalls in Divisoria, but also on social media. The new city mayor was busy last weekend as he made a surprise roving in Manila and went live on Facebook. On the video, Mayor Isko is noticeably using words that if you are a millennial Manileño might ring a bell.
Bakaliga. Nangka mo dyan. Etneb sa umaga, etneb sa gabi. Takwarens lang yan isang araw.
Those words perfectly fit what a netizens call the Iskonari, which comprise of Filipino words but inverted or jumbled when said. For example, these are the Filipino words tulog or sleep, and mainit or it's hot.
Yad ba kayo rito? Yad ba kayo ron?
Yadba or inverted bayad or payment.
Nakakatawa naman yung mga talong guys. Hello!
This is an expression used by hooligans. There are other slang words which mean another thing aside from their dictionary definitions. Spider-Man, a man who climbs posts or roofs to install electric jumper. Piait-piait or small time. Haciendero, meaning an informal settler. Tumbong, which is not a hidden body part, but a delicious dish with broth. That is Manila City Mayor Francisco Moreno Dumagoso, who, as a young boy, grew up in the slums of Manila, but is now the father of Manila City. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Manila Electric Company has announced power rate reduction this July. The move is due to lower charges for transmission and the refund ordered by the Energy Regulatory Commission. Juan tells us why.
For the third consecutive month, the Manila Electric Company or Meralco announced power rate cut of almost 11 centavos per kilowatt hour, which would reflect in the customer's bill this July. This means a household that consumes 200 kilowatt hours will save 21 pesos in their electric bill this month, 32 pesos for every 300 kilowatt hour, 43 pesos for every 400 kilowatt hours consumption, and 53 pesos for every 500 kilowatt hours consumption. Meralco explains that the power rate cut is due to the recent reduction in transmission charges as well as the reset cost adjustments which the Energy Regulatory Commission or ERC has ordered to be refunded to consumers.
Ito yung cost para mag-conduct ng isang rate review ng mga distribution utilities. So ito ho ay nag-apply sa lahat ng distribution utilities. Para sa Meralco, it was equivalent to a refund of 7 centavos per kilowatt hour.
Since May this year, the power rate reduction has accumulated to 57 centavos per kilowatt hour. Meanwhile, Meralco denied Solar Philippines' claims that it was instrumental in the lowering of power charges this month, arguing that Meralco has not received electricity supply from the Solar Philippines Interlock farm just yet. Being the largest and widest solar farm in the country, Tarlac Solar Farm is supposed to serve as Meralco's additional energy source under a power supply agreement. The solar farm can produce up to 150 megawatts of electricity, which can help solve problems of rotation brownouts due to occasional thinning of power supply.
Well, if you will look at the data,
transmission charge.
It is really transmission charge
And the ERC.
and the ERC directive that drove the prices down.
Juan, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
And for the news abroad, here's Pauline Ompico reporting live from Tokyo, Japan. Good evening, Pauline.
Good evening, Alex. After 2 large earthquakes and 3,000 aftershocks rocked a wide area of Southern California, all the seismic activity is taking an emotional toll on residents in the area. Kath Dumadaos explains why.
High desert communities in Southern California assessed damage and braced for potentially dangerous aftershocks from a major earthquake that shook buildings, ruptured gas lines, and sparked fires near the remote epicenter of the second temblor in as many days. The powerful magnitude 7.1 earthquake rocked the Mojave Desert town of Ridgecrest south of Death Valley National Park as darkness fell on Friday, jolting the area with 8 times more force than a 6.4 quake that struck the same area 34 hours earlier.
It's like when do we get a break from it? It's when's enough is enough, you know? Mother Nature's had her way. Give us a break now, okay?
Yeah. California Governor Gavin Newsom requested federal assistance and placed the State Office of Emergency Services on its highest alert.
There were a number of structure fires, there were gas leaks, but the damage that we are seeing this morning in the light is not as extensive as one could have expected.
The comparatively limited damage from Friday's quake, which packed greater force than the Northridge event, was a function of its location in a remote, less developed area.
In some respects, these earthquakes, we're lucky in that the energy in them is mostly going to the north, away from Los Angeles. If they were rupturing from north to south, then there would be more likelihood to have damage in, say, Palmdale or other areas that are a bit closer than, say, downtown LA to this activity.
Its ground motion, however, startled seismically jaded Southern Californians over a wide region.
I've been in Ridgecrest all my life. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this. It's terrifying. It was heartbreaking.
Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Iran has announced it will break a limit set on uranium enrichment in breach of the landmark 2015 deal designed to curb its nuclear ambitions. Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Iran still wanted to salvage the deal but blamed European countries for failing to live up to their own commitments. The U.S. unilaterally withdrew from the agreement in 2018. It has since imposed tight sanctions affecting the Iranian economy. Responding to the latest announcement, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said it would only lead to further isolation and sanctions for the nation. Malta has allowed a group of 65 migrants rescued off Libya to disembark on its territory after picking them up from a rescue ship. Meanwhile, Greece's center-right opposition party, New Democracy, has won the nation's snap general election. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
In Greece, Greek Conservative Party leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis swept to power on Sunday in a landslide victory amidst a climate of austerity reform fatigue and bitterness towards unkept political promises of the previous government. Mitsotakis, 51, an ex-venture capitalist, assumed the helm of the New Democracy Party in early 2016. He has focused his campaign on promises to ease Greek's pain by cutting taxes, unblocking privatizations, increasing investments, and state efficiency. In Malta, doctors and volunteers tended to 65 migrants on board a German rescue ship on Sunday after it changed course for Malta following a standoff with the Italian government. Maltese Prime Minister Joseph Muscat said he would allow the migrants to disembark in the country before being relocated to other European states. The CINGO's Alan Kurdi is the latest of several vessels carrying migrants that have faced problems trying to dock in an Italian port in the past couple of weeks. Italian's migration policy has led to clashes between NGOs and Italian authorities over rules that effectively close off the country's ports to their boats. In Germany, 18,000 jobs are being cut at Deutsche Bank as the struggling German lender announced a dramatic restructuring that expected to cost over $8 billion. Around 1 in 5 employees will be let go by 2022. On Monday, whole teams in its Asian operations were already eliminated, but Europe and the US are expected to be hit hardest. It's one of the biggest overhauls to an investment bank in the post-financial crisis era. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Pauline Ompico, reporting live from Tokyo, Japan. Monaco may be known as the glitzy hangout of the rich and famous, but it's not all penthouses and super yachts. The city-state is now home to a 400 square meter villa carved into the rock. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
Armed with a vision and a large saw, architects John Pierre Lott and Patrick Raymond have crafted a luxury eco-villa out of a rock face in Monaco, using cork insulation, water recycling, and solar panels to optimize energy and costs. Built inside a cliff that was once topped with a fortified village dating to the 10th century BC, Villa Troglodyte is approximately 220 square meters with 6 floors, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a swimming pool carved into the bedrock.
Contrary to traditional houses where you erect walls and build floors, where you work by adding elements. Here, on the contrary, we're digging into the ground, looking for spaces, sculpting the material. And in that respect, it's the opposite way of working.
There's a miniature water treatment facility integrated into the structure, along with solar panels for electricity and natural heating to reduce the carbon footprint. To build the home, they had to remove most of the upper rock surface, leaving the base so that the upper floors could be added later. The construction was designed around a vertical fold in the rock, dividing the geometry of the house and allowing for windows and terraces. The exterior was recreated in the image of the previous surface in an attempt to mask the construction and give it a natural appearance. Vegetation, cracks, and cavities were all recreated out of concrete to give a natural appearance. The villa was named Troglodyte because it still means living in a cave in French, whereas in English, the word is taken on the meaning of someone ignorant or prehistoric. Villa Troglodyte, which took nearly 20 months to build, is for sale with no official listing price but is expected to fetch 30 to 40 million euros. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Megan Rapinoe leads the United States to a record-extending fourth Women's World Cup title after the reigning champions defended their title with a 2-0 win over the Dutch. Meralco tells us why.
Fans packed into the down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass in New York and celebrated the United States winning a record-extending fourth Women's World Cup Sunday. The U.S. team secured a 2-0 victory over the Netherlands as second-half goals from Megan Rapinoe and Rose Lavelle confirmed their status as the leading power in the women's game. Just a handful of orange-clad Dutch fans were on hand as the New York crowd was dominated by U.S. boosters.
You know, we just had Independence Day, but this is my Independence Day because the U.S. women's national team just transcends sports.
The defending champions struggled to gain dominance for an hour before a Rapinoe penalty kick, her sixth goal of the tournament, broke the deadlock, and a fine individual effort from Lavelle in the 69th minute put the outcome beyond doubt. The Dutch, who are the European champions, ran out of steam after Rapinoe opened the scoring in the 61st minute, having done more than any team to frustrate the Americans. A perfect occasion for Rapinoe, whose outspoken views have been most prominent on the pay disparity between men and women players, was capped when FIFA chief Gianni Infantino was booed amid chants of equal pay by US fans. At 34, Rapinoe is unlikely to be back on this stage in 4 years' time, but it is hard to imagine her walking away from the battles she has led with the U.S. Soccer Federation and world governing body FIFA over fairer terms for the women's game. Rapinoe's earlier comments regarding a rejection of any eventual invite to the White House brought her into the center of political debate. But the side's win was greeted positively by President Donald Trump.
I want to congratulate the women's soccer team on winning the World Cup. That's an incredible achievement. It was a very exciting game. I got to see a little bit of it. And they're great players, and it's a great honor to have them captured for the United States fourth time. And it's a tremendous thing.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said the team would receive a ticker tape parade down the Canyon of Heroes in Manhattan on Wednesday. Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this July 8, 2019. On behalf of Angela Lagunzade, I am Alex Baltazar. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
The problem is this: Amnesty International is politicizing the so-called extrajudicial killings in this country. So there is bias, there is prejudice.
We thank him for the announcement that he has made
And we want the House of Representatives to be the Congress of the people. Gusto na natin baguhin na mahal natin ang congressman natin pero galit tayo sa Kongreso. So good governance will always come first.
Sana bigyan ako nilang pagkakataon na ibalik nila yung pera na pinaghirapan ko ng maraming taon. At ngayon, wala na talaga akong pera. May sakit ako at senior citizen ako. May sakit sa puso at may sakit sa liver. Wala na ako pangbili ng gamot na maintenance ngayon.
Masaya tayo dun sa binanggit ni Yusek De Leon na papaiksiin, no? Pero hindi tayo titigil hanggat walang papel sa harapan natin. Laway, ano lang po yan iskrimahan ng laway lang yan
I want it hopeful and good. Yung parang masaya na kasi last year, ano nangyari? So, sana parang iset mo yung mood ng lahat ng tao dito na, huy, wag na kayo mag-away.